The 10th of Iyar is the Yahrtzeit of the Heilige Rebbe, Rav Dovid of Talne. Rav Dovid of Talne was the son of Rav Mordechai of Chernobyl and the grandson of Rav Nachman of Chernobyl, the first of the dynasty, the Chernobyl dynasty, the author of the Me'or Einayim, the great tzaddik, Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov, the Maggid HaMezrich. Rav Dovid of Talne was the sixth of the sons of Rav Mordechai of Chernobyl, and he became a very, very popular Rebbe. Perhaps of all the brothers and his brothers, he had one of his brothers was Rachman Shtrifka and Skver. He attracted the most Hasidim to Talne. A range of people, from wealthy to poor, were drawn to the magnetic personality of Rav Dovid of Talne. He said about himself that he came into the world to instill emunah in his Hasidim, and he himself suffered the loss of many children in infancy. And the one son that survived and had children, his name also Rav Mordechai. He also died in Rav Dovid's lifetime, and his grandson was Rav Nachum, who eventually succeeds as the Rebbe of Talne. He was only one of 11 children that survived. The grandchildren of Rav Dovid, the son of the children of Rav Matala, the only one to survive during Rav Dovid's lifetime. So he buried many children in infancy and many grandchildren. And despite those terrible losses, he was the symbol of great emunah, great faith. He, the grandson takes over as a bar mitzvah. It was his Shabbos bar mitzvah in which his grandfather passed away. As a 13-year-old, in 1882, Rebbe Nachum becomes the Rebbe of Talne. He also had many children, 3 of which become Rebbes later on. They make their way to the United States. The oldest, Rav Dovid Mordechai, then Rav Moshe Tzvi, who was in Philadelphia, and Rav Shalom Zusha, who was in Boston. Rav Shalom Zusha in Boston, well-known Talne of Boston, the mechutin of the Rav Yosef Dov Halevi Soloveitchik, Rav Meshulam Zusha's son, Yitzchak, Professor Isidore Twersky, marries the daughter of Rav Soloveitchik, Dr. Atara Soloveitchik Twersky, and they opened the Talne Beis Medrash in Boston. Of course, Professor Twersky's son, the elder son, Rav Moshe Twersky, makes his way to Eretz Yisrael and is killed tragically in the terrible terror attack in Har Nof. He was a Rebbe in Torah Moshe for many years, and currently the Rebbe of Talne in Boston, now in Riverdale, is our Rebbe Rav Meir Twersky of one of the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva Rabbeinu Yitzchak Chani Yeshiva University. The eldest son of Rav Nachum, the grandson of Rav Dovid, his son is Rav Dovid Mordechai. He comes to America as well, in one of the first Hasidic Rebbes to come to America, already in 1913. And his son is Rav Yochanan Twersky. Rav Yochanan Twersky was in Montreal, and then eventually follows his children, the Weinbergs, who make Aliyah in the 50s, his daughter and his son-in-law, and he comes to Eretz Yisrael, sets up the Talne Beis Medrash in Bayit Vagan on Rehov Piskah, and his grandson becomes the Rebbe following his grandfather, Rav Yitzchak Menachem Weinberg, the current Talne Rebbe, who has a beautiful Beis Medrash in the Bukharim section of Yushalayim, and author of many, many Sfarim, and someone who also very, very broad, has a large following from classic Hasidisha to Kippot Zrugot, many. His brother-in-law lives in Efrat, Yehuda Levi, hosts many shurim during the year from the Talne Rebbe, and many people come from all over Efrat to come to hear and consider themselves Hasidim of the Talne Rebbe. One of the fascinating things is that the Talne Rebbe the current Talne Rebbe, who has a Hilula every year for his great grandfather, the Talne Rebbe, Rav Dovid of Talne, on Iyar. So he brings out the actual Tehillim that was the Tehillim of Rav Dovid of Talne, which was handed down to the grandson Rav Nachum, who then gives it to his son Rav Dovid Mordechai when he goes off to America, and makes its way to his son Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan has lent that Tehillim to many of the Rebbes of Ger, both to the Beis Yisrael and to the Pnei Menachem, and now it's in the possession of his grandson, the Talne Rebbe, who takes it out every year for the Yahrtzeit, for the Hilula. It's the night of Netzach Shebenetzach, and it shows the continuation, the eternity of the tzaddikim, and everyone has a chance to read from those Tehillim, daven from the same Tehillim of the Rebbe of Talne. His neshama should have an aliyah, should be a melech yosher for all of his great grandchildren and all of Klal Yisrael.